Yeah, well... Well, hello there. What up, bunheads? How are we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Someone Else's Story. I am unbelievably thrilled to be interviewing my very good friend, Miss Jenni Greene, née Thorogood, and soon all the bun puns will become clear.
We are making buns! Chocolate freaking buns!
Jennifer Thorogood, how you doing, my little bunhead? Can you tell the lovely people at home what you do for a living?
I am a midwife.
A midwife?
Yes.
So you could say you help people get their buns out the oven. Thank you. Told you it all become clear. You're welcome. Buns in the oven! Let's slide.
So the crumbles sit. The same buns will be.
The foundations of our friendship: crumble, nudity, and singing lessons. Do we need to start rolling this up? Are we ready for this? I'm gonna toast the buns. That's my flow. Is that your flow? I've got it. So Jennifer,
Yep.
you and I were on the road to musical theatre stardom post 2012?
Yeah.
2012 we graduated. And then something happened.
Yeah.
Talk me through it.
Well, I think it was the first job that I did that really swayed me to stopping the musical theatre journey. I think before that I'd already started thinking about it a bit because...
We got a cat.
because just the reality of the career part of it was not something I was enjoying. The actual love of performing never went, but the auditioning part and people being a bit pushing to the front and a bit catty and constantly waiting for something and constantly putting the rest of your life on hold, waiting for that something, it was just not what I enjoyed. So then when I was on my first job and I had so much time to think and sunbathe, it just sort of came to me that maybe I should explore my other options sooner rather than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm. Like you say, it was just the realism of what the industry can be like. Like we say, it's not, you know, we're not tarring everyone with the same brush here, but some people have the experience you had. And your first job, can we say what it was, just so you have context?
It was a cruise job, which was a fantastic cruise job. It was a world cruise and I'd always wanted to travel, so that was a fantastic opportunity. But it wasn't the type of job I'd always wanted to do in terms of theatre. I'd always liked the more serious sort of theatre pieces, and I was doing more happy clappy variety shows on cruise ships. So I think that also swayed me, that helped to sway me a little bit.
What were people's reactions when you were like, I'm that thing I've trained for since I was a child?
Initially there was a pretty big shock because midwifery is so left field out of musical theatre. I mean, how on earth are the two compare? I'd probably barely told anyone that I'd always considered it as a job option because I thought it would be so far down the line that I'd explore it. And I think I remember you being a bit like, but why?
Yeah.
And I did decide when I got back from the cruise job that I would give it another year just to test it out. But in that year I had so few auditions, so few opportunities that it just sort of, again, everything added to my motivation to then leave it. And you find yourself working jobs which are absolutely nothing to do with what you've trained for, and in order to earn enough money to survive and pay the rent, you then have to work those jobs so much that you have no time for auditions or you have no time for lessons, and then it just all piles up and adds to this slight storm of maybe this isn't quite the right thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy at all. And there were parts of me that were always like, am I making the right decision? Is this the right thing to do? Am I going to regret doing this straight away? Actually, still quite obviously quite soon after we finished training, or am I gonna think I should have done this sooner? I think I just needed to find out, so I had to go through with it regardless of what my then answer might be. So yeah, it was okay, but I mean it was tough. It was a whole life change, obviously.
Yeah. But you got to the end. With a degree in midwifery, is that a thing?
Yeah.
So she's Jenni Greene Baba. You're welcome.
I need to do something.
Cook you down.
Just check it out.
I feel like a unexpected song, a unexpected song that only we are. Cooking partnership. I'm here for the moral support. You go, Jen.
Good job. I'm going to find it first.
Oh, that's good.
That's really good. Okay, that's good. Is there currant in that as well?
No, it's all chocolate.
Oh, shut up. Oh, Jenni.
You need to ask me any questions.
If you can, how would you describe life since leaving the acting industry and like training to be a midwife? Whilst I have coffee and drink buns. Have coffee and drink buns.
Yeah, it's been very different. I mean, the musical theatre world is such a bubble world. It's your whole life has to sort of revolve around that and nothing else. Whereas I then entered a new bubble of midwifery, which again, the degree-wise was 3 years of pretty hard work. It was working in the hospital as well as then completing assignments. So that was tough. But obviously since I've started the job, what was fantastic was I was almost guaranteed a job afterwards, which was something I'd never experienced before.
Job security? What is this thing?
So, you know, living a kind of, I guess, more, you could consider it boring, you could consider it more normal life. I don't mind whichever way anyone thinks about that, but that stability I quite liked. I liked having a paycheck every month and I knew what I was earning and I knew what I could go out and spend and see friends. I could do other activities that weren't all, in my mind, a concern that I was spending money frivolously and not putting it towards my acting career or anything like that. So yeah, I would say it's a bit more balanced than it was before. I'd say in general I'm probably happier for it. Don't get me wrong, I always think of the what ifs, but I think I definitely don't regret the decision, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. What would you say is the best thing about being a midwife and what is the not so good thing about being a midwife?
So for me, the entire reason that I wanted to do midwifery was I wanted to help people. Because I remember actually, linking back to what we were talking about before, the cruise ship, I had a phenomenal cast mate who was lovely and American, and we were talking to some people on the ship one day and he was chatting about how he feels that doing what we do brings sort of happiness to other people, because it does. You go see a show, you feel happy, so he's completely right in that. But I couldn't agree with him in the slightest, and I just felt, for me, that acting felt extremely selfish. And even though reflecting on it now, I can see 100% where he was coming from, but for me it didn't feel that way. I felt like I was pursuing something for myself and I wasn't helping anyone in any way. Whereas midwifery gave me the chance to look after people and help people, especially through a very vulnerable point of their life.
You're such a good human! Oh, it makes me sick. I love you. If anything, do you miss anything about acting? Do you miss it at all? Do you... That question.
Yes, there is stuff. I miss the performance part of it, I guess. That's what I loved about it, and I loved delving into a character and becoming something else. That was always the part of it that I enjoyed the most.
You could say you enjoyed telling someone else's story. I'm so sorry, yes. I'm not. Carry on. What has been your takeaway for you from that entire situation? Because I know we talk about it now, like yada yada yada, this is what happened, but like, I think it's fair to say, even when you were going through it, you probably made it look easier than it was. Because Jen has a terrific habit of doing that in life.
Oh, I don't know.
It's not a criticism, she's just an excellent human being.
I don't know. I think the big takeaway is that if there's anything else that you're sort of passionate about, that there is no harm in exploring it, whether or not you then, for instance, choose to go back into musical theatre a bit later on and re-explore that. But if I hadn't have tried going into midwifery at that point, I would have probably regretted it, because I would have again had the what if.
Yeah.
It did take time in a sense. I remember I wouldn't go to shows for a good year afterwards, or a year and a half, because it just, for me, it would just bring back too many memories. Whereas I now love going to shows again. Don't necessarily have the time, but yeah, I just think you can sort of do anything you put your mind to.
Would you say that in any way, like, do you look back on drama school as wasted time? I know you said you enjoyed exploring it, but is that wasted time, or are there skills that you picked up there that you've taken with you?
God, no. No, I mean, number one...
Oh God, no skills. No skills taken with me.
No, number one, drama school was probably one of the best times of my life.
We had a lovely time.
We had a great time. So I would never, ever regret that time at all. Acting skills definitely come in handy. I think for any job. I think in a massive sense it made me, I guess, more open to communicating with loads of different people. Even though I felt like I already had decent communication skills beforehand, I think acting school put you through a lot of different scenarios, and just having to get used to those scenarios and add to them and bring your own thing to it made me sort of very okay with the fact that anything could be thrown at me in a hospital setting or whatever, and I would just adapt to it.
Yeah.
There is a big part as well of, I don't want to say acting to women that I look after, but in a sense sometimes there is. If there's an emergency situation, you've got to act completely cool about it, and even if you're panicking inside, you've got to show none of that, and just pretend it's all fine.
What was the thing with the foot? Can you tell the foot story?
Because
I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yes, my lady that came in by ambulance, and I got handed over this lovely lady who had no notes on her and was in the throes of labour. And then about an hour after I was trying to figure out what was happening, what her history was, and all of this kind of stuff, her waters went and shot across the room, and then all of a sudden I just saw a foot. And I just went,
That's not supposed to happen.
I'm just gonna pull the emergency buzzer, don't panic at all, I'm just gonna pull the buzzer. There's gonna be a few people that come in. Pulled the buzzer, and of course everyone rushes in, and I just go, there's a foot. Probably a little bit too calm at that point. But I knew she was in
I thought
safe
you were
hands.
literally like, there's a foot.
Well, yeah, there's a foot. Yes, that was a great experience.
Tell that
Everything
story
was
to her
fine,
child
everything was
for
fine.
years to come now.
But yes, I was very pleased to have some of those skills to be very calm in that situation.
Well, thank you for joining me today, Jenny. Joining me when we're at your house. You're welcome. And thank you guys at home, on the train, maybe at the gym. You work that treadmill, for joining me for another Someone Else's Story. And I really hope you're all enjoying getting as much from hearing other people's experiences and points of view and life stories as I am. So have a lovely day wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and we look forward to seeing you next time for another Someone Else's Story. Good for you.
Great.
I love you.
I love you too.